Let's go with the Bills as they look to finally get atop the AFC. Not a whole lot of holes on this team. Adam, where are you going with it?
Yeah, I think that's an important point. There's not a whole lot of holes on this team. And when I look at their defense, I started with their D-line. And their D-line, they don't have a whole lot of huge defensive tackle run stuffers. They have a lot of like big DNs who can all play everywhere and just create disruption. And then I look at their secondary, and it's kind of the same. They got like a bunch of different safeties, bunch of different corners, no necessarily stars, at least that I'm remembering right now. But I think that versatility is kind of our name of the game. So, Mr. Bean, I believe with the 30th pick in the first round, Nick Imanwori would be perfect for us. He can play safety on early downs. He can play linebacker on late downs. He gives us that versatility that we clearly crave, and he gives us a physicality that right now there is not a single other DB on our team that gives us any physicality. So we need that at the upper levels of our defense. He brings it along with the ball skills. I think he's the perfect fit for what we're doing on defense.
Eli?
I would add Derek Harmon in here. Our current starter next to Ed Oliver is Daquan Jones, who we signed this year. He's 33. He is an average defensive tackle. Pairing the plus run ability of Derek Harmon next to Ed Oliver, who's a little more penetrating, is a good pairing in the defense, and playing in the cold in Buffalo can never have enough defensive linemen.
Yeah, Derek Harmon was who I was circling on this class as we were going in. Again, it's almost a level of, and you Packers fans will appreciate in the sense of like the quarterback is so good that we don't feel the need to add to a wide receiver or add to the offense too much. The offense is doing its job, because Ibuka here would be, I think, a phenomenal pairing of quarterback and wide receiver, and someone who's not currently on the roster. Or a type of wide receiver that's not currently on the roster in Buffalo. But at the same time, like with Rodgers for however many years in Green Bay, the offense is moving. The defense is what's going to need to step up against Kansas City, against Cincinnati, against Baltimore. That's how they're going to get to the Super Bowl. So give me Derek Harmon on the defensive line.
Hold on. I gotta say, Derek Harmon.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I disagree. And I agree with Damon. I think we need a safety in the back end. You cannot rely on DeMar Hamlin to play free safety for this defense much longer. I think the defensive line is small by design. And when you look at the depth chart, you have
not particularly great at getting pass rush last year. So outside of two players.
But you have Greg Rousseau, you have Daquan Jones, you have Ed Oliver, you just signed Joey Bosa. I think they're kind of playing this almost like the NFL equivalent of the Golden State Warriors, where they're playing a small lineup and it's intentional.
But we also watched the Philadelphia Eagles last year just run roughshod over the Chiefs. It doesn't matter what the Eagles.
Teams got different personalities.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No question. But I think the fact that we saw that getting pressure on Mahomes was the way to get him down. We've seen him pick apart a lot of good secondaries. You put him on the ground, he can't do much. I think this is where the conversation is.
I don't know how much I agree with that, considering that in the Super Bowl, the Eagles only sent 4 rushers. They sent 5 rushers only once.
Yeah.
I think the Bills can still generate a pass rush with what they have. I think part of how you solve Mahomes is playing coverage, and that's through Imanwori.
Okay. All right. If you guys are going to go with it, well, let's go with Imanwori then. If you guys have not overruled me, but you've convinced me enough that I think we can improve the secondary and expect the undersized defensive line to get enough pressure here.
Am I allowed a counter to the counter?
You can counter the counter to the counter.
Okay. So we drafted Cole Bishop in the second round last year. All right. So DeMar may not start this year. And we're relying on 30-plus-year-old Joey Bosa, who can't play an entire season, to be a consistent factor for us in the pass rush.
That was my thought. Yeah.
And yes, they only sent 4 guys per play, but it wasn't the same 4 guys. And their ability to rush only 4 was because their defenders are fresh, because they were sending hockey shifts in to be able to rush the passer. That would be the counter.
So right now the Bills have
We're going to wrap up this conversation here.
This is a good conversation though, because the Bills could go a lot of different directions. Right now the Bills have Joey Bosa AJ Epinesa, Michael Hoyt from the Rams, who you guys might not know, but was a very, very effective rotational pass rusher for us last year. Greg Rousseau. They have Daquan Jones, Larry Ogunjobi, and Ed Oliver. That is 6 defensive linemen who are going to get consistent, significant time pretty much on any team they play with in the NFL. The overall production is not what we would hope. Yes, they're not top 5 in the league in sacks,
Yeah.
but those are good defensive players. And so I think I want to go back to your model argument where, yeah, we got a lot of models. Are you really going to notice another one? I don't know.
I don't think those models are as hot as you think they are. Like, I think
Yeah,
this
these
is
are
the problem I have.
330 pound
Instagram models are still hot. It's fine.
I think the only thing to add to that is Cole Bishop is really more of a strong side safety, whereas Damar Hamlin is your center fielder, and again
Sure.
he doesn't take the best angles to the ball. He's not a sure tackler, and you got to get someone better in the back end.
Yeah. Just for my personal draft philosophy, you can wait on safeties. Finding big guys is harder. That'd be my final point.
I happen to agree with you there. I also think the safety class, we've a couple safeties still available out there that could be available if the Bills want to trade up. 10 picks in this class. They could trade up a little bit into the second if they want. I believe they've got 2 second-round picks coming up in this class. I think we have enough time to grab a safety.
Sounds like a great time to draft a D lineman in a strong D line class.
I think Derek Harmon is the right pick in this scenario. Look, I don't think that a safety changes the equation as much as getting enough pressure on the quarterback here. So let's add Derek Harmon. There's all those names you just mentioned, not enough production. Not enough production if we're going to go against Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Baltimore.
I feel like Vrabel when they traded away A.J. Brown, just watching it happen and being able to do nothing about it.
No,
Good.
I feel like
there and stare at the screen.
I feel like Rex Ryan when they drafted Quentin Coples, and I was there in the war room, and he was screaming at the general manager at the time.
Yeah.